Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Um, yeah, I forgot to say that in the last video that I recorded. So yeah, this is gonna be part two of He Was Crazy, My Abusive Ex. And before I go into the story, I just want to make a disclaimer. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I forgot to say that in my last video. So this is gonna be part two of the story of He Was Crazy, My Abusive Ex. And before we get into the story, I just want to make a little disclaimer. There's nothing funny about domestic violence. Like, this is not a joke or anything like that. I'm just telling my experience. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. So on part one, I left off with I had just picked up my daughter, and then I drove back to his place, and we walked up to the elevator and everything like that. So yeah. So once we got inside, we put our bags down. Um, I showed my daughter, where she would be sleeping at, because around this time, she's still a lot older, than my son. So I showed her where she would be sleeping and things like that. So, the first night, nothing really happened too much. He cooked dinner for us. And I forgot what he cooked. Like, actually, I don't even remember that part. But I know that while we were sitting down at the dinner table, like, we were talking, having a discussion, and he was pretty much asking me, like, what is it that I thought I wanted to do for, like, work and stuff like that. Because I forgot to mention, but, prior to me coming over there the first time, where he wanted me to see if it was going to be a safe environment for like my kids to be and things like that. So prior to that, we actually had like a conversation, and he was asking me like what I wanted to do and stuff like that. And I had told him that pretty much my plan, like going into it, I wanted my plan, like living with him, to be the same plan that I originally had when I came out there, like before I had even met him. And that was basically to just get on my feet. So but now that everything's changed with me and old dude falling out, and oh yeah, by the way, so since I didn't give the guy that I fell out with, since I didn't give him a name, like we're just gonna call him old dude. And then when I actually do a story time on what happened with that, then I'm gonna give him like a name. So basically, where's that at? I lose my train of thought all the time. um oh yeah. So so I told him that what I wanted to do, or what I wanted my plan to be. Like, I wanted to be there for 30 days, and then after those 30 days, because I also wanted to find a job within those 30 days. So at the end of those 30 days, I would either move into my own place, or B, I would always just go back home, right? Going back home was always like an option that I had in the back of my mind. I don't want to say it was the last resort, but it wasn't exactly something that I wanted to do right away. Like, I didn't just immediately want to pack up and be like, all right, well, I'm going back home. Like, I at least wanted to try and see how things go first. So he told me that he was cool with that. And then I also told him that I wanted to go 50-50 on bills. So I told him I also wanted to go 50-50 on bills. I wanted to do my part, feel like I was contributing and things like that. Um, and he pretty much told me that the way that he wasn't raised for females to go like half and half on like bills or anything like that. And of course, back then, around this time, when this took place, like we weren't saying like 50-50 or going half on bills, because that wasn't a thing back then. But like, it was the gist of it, basically. So yeah, so he was saying that the way that he was raised, like women don't usually go like half and half on bills and things like that. But because I wanted to like contribute and I didn't, and basically I didn't want to just stay there like for free, pretty much. Then he was like that if I wanted to, I could go half on rent and then he would take care of everything else, like all the other bills and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that was cool, right? Now that was prior to me actually moving in, right? So now the first day that we're there and we're sitting at the dinner table and we're talking, like he's asking me like, what job would I kind of want? And I was telling him that like I have only ever worked in a retail environment. I've only done retail, so I felt like it would be easier for me to get a job in retail, because I have that experience. Um and then I also told him, so let me like back up a little bit. So remember how I was saying in the first video of how like when I first got there and I was introduced to well, not introduced, but I had dropped my son off at the girl's house that was gonna watch him, and then old dude was like paying her rent so that I could stay there, right? Okay. So that day that I had went there to drop off my son and to drop off like our totes and stuff like that, right? So that day specifically was the very first day that I guess officially moved out there, right? So what I ended up doing was because I had two totes. Like I had a tote of my clothes and I had a tote of like my son's clothes. So I took one tote inside, right? And I took one tote inside, and then me, old dude, and I had my son, of course. We walked inside the girl's house. Now, while we were sitting down, like talking, and she was giving me like the tour of her place and stuff like that. While we're doing that, old dude decided to go outside to grab my other tote because my totes were supposed to be staying at her house, right? So he goes out to the car. He goes out to my car to get the totes, right? Now, prior to me pulling up to her house, I had, now this, bro, I kick myself every time for doing this. But, I had left my ID on my passenger seat in my car. Like I just left my driver's license on the passenger seat, right? Now, why I didn't put it in my wallet or just toss it in my purse, beyond me, right? So I remember specifically that that's where I put it. So after we dropped my son off to her and I got back in my car, now this was after he had brought the tote in and everything like that, right? So after we're done and now we're leaving, I get back in my car and I realize that my license is no longer in the passenger seat, right? So I'm looking, like I get out the car, I'm looking in the driver's seat, I'm looking on the floor, I'm looking by like the gas pedal and the brake, and it's not there. I get out of the car, I walk around to the passenger side, it's not there. Like I'm looking all through my car, I'm looking underneath the seats, I'm looking inside the glove compartment, I'm looking in the middle console, I'm looking in the ashtray, right? It is nowhere to be found. And now I'm starting to think, I'm like, well, I know for sure that I put it there, right? That I put it on the passenger seat. So, so I asked old dude if he seen my driver's license when he went back to my car to get the tote, right? So he says, that he didn't see it. That he just grabbed, like my totes were in the back seat, like on the floor. So he was like that he just opened the back door, grabbed my tote, shut the door, and then walked back to her house, right? With the tote in hand. And so even to this day, even though it's been years later, I still never found out what happened to my driver's license. But like a big part of me believes the old dude stole my license. Now, why would he steal my license when he's a grown ass man? I mean, when he's a grown man, I don't know. But that's just the theory that I have in my head, right? So boom. So back to me sitting at the dinner table with Jason, right? So I tell him that I had lost my ID. Now I was saying that I lost my ID versus saying that old dude stole my ID because I didn't have any like definitive evidence, that he stole it. It was just in my mind that he stole it, right? So I was telling Jason that I had lost my ID and that, I had like I go back home frequently. So I was gonna go back home, go to the NBA and just apply for a new license, right? So Jason's telling me, he was like, oh well, yeah. He was like, oh well, then yeah, you're gonna need that license to get a job. So I'm like, right. So then he was like, okay, well, in the meantime, like, he was like, well, in the meantime, I've been looking at your Instagram, and I see that like you dance. Because back when I had Instagram, like, it was like, first it started off as a regular Instagram, and then it just went into like a business Instagram. And then I had like pictures of me in dance outfits, videos of me like dancing at the club and stuff like that, in a website, not a website, sorry, an email address to go to for like bookings and stuff like that. So he was telling me, he was like, I looked at your Instagram and I seen that you dance, like, until you get your ID, until you find your, well, this is what he said. He was like, well, until you get your ID, or until you find your ID so that you can get a job, like, do you mind, like, would you want to work at like a club dancing or something like that? And I told him, I was like, well, I mean, I would prefer to get a regular job, but if that's my only option right now until I can get a new license, then yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with it. I've danced before. I went to many different auditions in like many different cities and states to dance. It wouldn't be a problem for me. So he was like, "All right, cool. Well, I have a home girl that works at one of the clubs out here. Like, I can hit her up in the morning, and I'm gonna see if she can get you in without having like without you having to show an ID." So I'm like, "All right, cool, right?" So that night, first night, everything was cool, no problems, right? So when it's time to go to bed, I get ready for bed and I get my kids ready for bed, right? So I already had it in my mind that I was gonna sleep in like the kids' room with my kids. Um, Only because like it's a new environment, it's a new place. My son, he was too young to even know what was going on, but my daughter, like, I know for a fact that she was gonna be afraid to sleep in a new room in a new place by herself, even though her brother was gonna be there, like technically by herself. And not only that, but I just didn't feel like, just me personally, I didn't feel comfortable like sleeping with him in his room, because like, this is not that. Like, you're just helping me out until I can get to the next stage in my life, right? Like, we're not in a relationship, we're not a couple, we're not none of that at that point, right? So, first night I sleep in the kids' room, right? So I wake up, and now we're on day two, right? So I wake up, I cook breakfast, and originally I was just gonna cook breakfast for me and my kids, but I'm like, oh, that's rude. Like, he let me stay here, so let me just go ahead and cook breakfast for him too, right? So I'm cooking breakfast for all of us, basically. And I cook like something real basic, real simple, like bacon and eggs. Like, real simple, real basic, something that's quick and easy to put together. So as I'm cooking breakfast, he comes out of the room, right? And I could tell that he's getting ready for work, right? Because he's like, he has on like some slacks and a button down, and he's like, doing his tie, stuff that guys do, right? So he was like, "Oh, you cook breakfast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I made you a plate too." So he was like, "All right, well, let me finish getting ready, and then I'm gonna come out here and eat." So I'm like, all right, cool. So I finished cooking breakfast. I put everybody's plates on the tables. And then now we're sitting at the table and we're eating breakfast, right? So he asked me, like, what did I have planned to do that day? And I'm pretty much telling him, like, oh, I really don't have anything planned. I seen a park outside, like, when we were pulling in last night. So I'm probably just going to take my kids to the park, um, let them get some fresh air. So he was like, okay. He was like, all right, well, that seems cool. Like, and he told me like what time he got off work, because eventually I ended up asking him, like, what time do you get off work? He told me the time, but he was like, with my job, like, I always have my phone on me, so if you need anything, you can call me, you can text me, you can FaceTime me. If you want to take them somewhere and do something, instead of just going to the park, just let me know and I'll send some money to your Cash App. Like, it's really not a problem. And even if you're, sorry. Sorry, sometimes I get ahead of myself, and my mouth, like, and my brain works quicker than my mouth does, if that makes sense, right? So he was like, and look at me losing my train of thought. But no, but no, for real. he was like, and even if it's just not for today, even like any other day, if you need anything for you or for your kids, and if you want to take them anywhere, because I know that you're not working right now, you just let me know, and I'll always cash app you some money. Like, I just want you to know that, like, it's never a problem. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, even though in the back of my mind I had no intentions of asking this man for any type of money, but just to hear him say that just gave me a little bit of reassurance. Like, okay, like we're gonna be good here. So I thought, right? So after we eat breakfast, I take our plates up to the sink. I'm cleaning up the kitchen. I put on TV so that my kids are in the living room. They're watching TV, stuff like that, right? My daughter, she's playing with her Barbies that she bought. Like, everything is chill. So as he's about to leave for work, he comes out into, like, because the way that his condo was, like, the bedrooms were of course in the back, and then you walk through a hallway, and then it's like there's the living room, which is like a big open space, and then there's like the kitchen, and then the dining room is off to the side. Right, so as he's walking down the hallway, he sees us in the living room watching TV. So he walks over to me, and he was like, before I go, I just want to lay down some ground rules. And I was like, okay, I mean, even though we're grown, I assumed there was going to be some type of rules, being that I'm a guest. Me and my kids are a guest in his home. So I was like, all right, because I pretty much expected the whole rule thing. So he was like, I only have two very simple rules. Like, I don't want you giving out my address to any and everybody. Like, if your family wants to come over, or, if you have any friends and they want to come over, like, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but I just don't want you just giving my address out to just everybody. And I was like, okay, I respect that. And then he was like, the second rule, like, in addition to I don't want you giving out my address, like, I don't want you to have, like, men running in and out of here, like, and out of respect for you and your kids, I won't have many women running in and out of here either, right? So I'm like, all right, it's cool. Two very reasonable rules, like, nothing too crazy. But in my mind, I was thinking, like, damn. So, I mean, dang. I was thinking, like, dang. So that means, like, if I want to, like, chill with a dude, like, I'm either gonna have to go to their place of living, or it's gonna have to be him. Like, you feel me? Like, that's all it is. I'm either have to go to them, or it's gonna have to be him, right? So boom. So that was that. He leaves for work. So I ended up taking my kids to the park, just like I said I was gonna do. And the entire time that he's at work, we're calling each other, we're talking on the phone, we're texting, we're FaceTiming, and the conversations were pretty much normal, like him just asking me, like, what we're doing, how's everything going, and things like that. So, like I said, he ended up telling me what time he got off work. So when he got off work, well, when it was around the time for him to get off work, um, I wanted to cook dinner, but since he cooked dinner the first night, now I want to cook dinner the second night. So I go into the kitchen and I'm looking, and he had food to eat, but not what I wanted to cook, if that made sense. Like, so I hit him up and I texted him and I asked him how he was getting home, because I knew that he didn't drive. So I asked him how he was getting home from work, and he was like that he was either gonna take the bus, or he was gonna, like, call somebody and, like, get a ride or something like that. So I was like, well, I want to go grocery shopping because I want to cook tonight, and then I also want to get, like, some snacks and stuff like that for my kids. So, like, I don't mind picking you up from work, and then we all go grocery shopping together. So he was like, all right, that's cool. Like, I don't mind. So I pick him up. Oh, and I'm going into so much detail because I want to tell you guys, like, the character that he presumed. Like, so before I get into, like, the juicy details of what actually happened, I want to go, like, step by step and actually, like, give you guys, like, the character that he perceived to me, right? Because obviously towards the end he turned out to be someone completely different, right? But we're gonna get there. So I end up picking him up from work, and I decide that I want to go to Walmart, right? So I look up the nearest Walmart on the GPS, and now we're going to Walmart. And the ride to Walmart was, it was cool. Like, we were laughing the entire time because I was playing Pop Smoke Welcome to the Party. And you know how like Pop Smoke's voice is like ridiculously deep, right? So Jason was rapping Pop Smoke's part. Well, the whole song's whatever, you get what I was saying. Like, he was rapping the verses, right? But like he's making his voice like ridiculously deep to the point where he sounds like freaking Darth Vader at this point. Like, I don't know, but it was hilarious. So I'm like laughing and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, the ride to Walmart was fine, right? Now, when we get to Walmart, this is the first time that I ever, and still to this day, this is the first time that I've ever been to a Walmart like this one, right? So, in the area that he lived in, right? In the area that he lived in, most of the places that you went to, you had to pay for parking, right? Now, if you did not want to pay for parking, as far as the Walmart is concerned, then you would have to park in the underground parking garage, right? Yes, people, I said it. Underground parking garage for Walmart, right? So it's like Walmart sat on the street, right? But in order to go to the parking garage, you would have to go around the side, right? Now, once you get around the side, it's a hill that goes down. You go down there, it's a parking garage. And it's like, and the parking garage looked like a regular Walmart parking lot, if that makes sense. Like, how do I explain it? Like, with like the carts and like the little, I don't know what they're called, but like the stations where the carts go in like the parking lot when you're done using them, whatever that station is called. So they had multiple stations like that, multiple carts around. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, but whatever. And then like when you go inside the Walmart, there's like these two escalators, one that goes up and one that goes down, right? And so when you go up the escalators, it like that's when the shopping part, like that's where the shopping part is. And I was just amazed. I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen a Walmart like this. Anyway, so we get what we're gonna get. Like, I get food for dinner, I get food for breakfast, food for lunch, like I get snacks for my kids, I get them juices, you know, things like that, right? Because I didn't really like, how do I explain it? Like I said, he had food, but he had food for like a single male that lives alone. Like, you feel me? Like, he didn't have like, oh, a woman and kids live with me type food, if that makes sense. Like, he didn't have nothing that kids like. So yeah. So we get back to the house. He immediately goes to take a shower and, you know, decompress and relax and all that after work, right? And I'm in the kitchen cooking. My kids are in the living room watching TV, right? And I don't exactly remember what I cooked, but I do know for sure that I cooked baked pork chops in like two sides. Now, I only know that I cooked the baked pork chops. Like, I only remember that because he wanted more. Like, he wanted a second plate, right? Because your girl can cook. Anyway, so after dinner, I clean up, you know, take up everybody's plates to the kitchen, clean up, everything is cool, right? Second night, same exact thing as like the first night. Put my kids to bed, I get in the bed, we all sleep. Oh, and let me say this. So I don't know if I mentioned this in the first video, but like the kids' room, or like the second bedroom that he had, it had two twin size beds in there, right? But because my daughter didn't want to sleep alone, then we slept in the same bed, right? So all three of us, me, my son, my daughter, all slept in a twin size bed. Yes. So after dinner, second night, we all climbed into the same bed. Everything was cool, right? So third day, right? Now we're on day 3. Day 3 comes, same morning routine. We're getting ready, like I'm cooking breakfast, he's getting ready for work, that type of thing, right? So so the night before, I wore like a pajama set to bed, but it was like a regular cami and like some shorts and stuff like that. And while I'm in the kitchen cooking, it didn't click to me like, oh, maybe I should put on something else. Maybe I should like I don't know, because to me it was just shorts and a top, like shorts and a top that I'm sleeping in. Like I don't know, I didn't really think about it too much for real. So and mind you, let me say this. So now that we're on day 3, he has not made any sort of like sexual advances towards me. He has not flirted with me. He has not done any of that up until this point, right? The only thing that he has said, which, like I said before, on the first night, he was telling me that, like, I could sleep in his room. Like, I didn't have to sleep in the second bedroom with the kids. And I decided I was gonna sleep in the room with the kids anyway. Like, but that was the only thing that he pretty much said. And even that isn't, like, sexual or anything like that, right? So, like I said, I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking breakfast, everything like that. So, as he's coming in the kitchen, like I said before, how, like, when you come down the hallway, it's like a big open space. That's the living room, and the dining room's off to the side, and then you have, like, the kitchen. So, the kitchen, it has, like a counter, and on the outside of that counter you can put like bar stools and stuff like that, right? But he didn't. No, wait, he did have bar stools. He did have bar stools there, right? But I rarely sat in those. It's probably why I didn't remember them offhand like that. But anyway, he had bar stools around like the backside of the counter, right? So when you walk around to the counter, that's when like you're open to like the kitchen and stuff like that. So when he comes around the corner, he stops. He stops and he stares at me. And I turn around and I'm like, what? And he was like, oh, nothing. Like, I'm just not used to having like a female around here. Like, I almost forgot for a second. Like, yeah, but you look good. I'm like, oh, yeah, thank you. Like, I kind of like, not to say that I brushed him off, but I was just like, oh, yeah, thanks. Because I didn't really think too much of it. Because, like I said, to me, it was just a regular top and shorts that I'm sleeping in. Like, yeah. So, so yeah, so he kind of starts to flirt a little bit here and there. Now mind you, he's not like touching me or anything like that, but he's just flirting, saying like telling me how good I look and saying just stuff, right? So stuff that kind of makes me laugh, right? So I'm like laughing, I'm giggling, that sort of thing, right? So after I'm done cooking, we sit down, we eat breakfast, regular conversation. He tells me what time he's getting off work. I'm like, okay, cool. So boom, same exact routine as the second day. Like, the whole time he's at work, like we're talking on the phone, we're texting each other, we're FaceTiming, things like that, right? So the second no, I'm sorry, this is the third day. So the third day, when I know that he's about to get home from work, like I start cleaning up, because my kids had toys everywhere. So I start cleaning up, I start washing dishes, I start cooking dinner. I don't remember what I cooked for the third night, but yeah, so I'm starting to get everything prepared for when he comes home. He didn't ask me to pick him up the second day, nor was he asking me to like take him to work either. So yeah, there's that. So he ends up coming home. I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner. He goes in his room, showers, takes off his clothes. I assume, well, changes out of his clothes. Let me say that. He changes out of his clothes and stuff like that, right? So we're sitting down, we're eating dinner, regular conversation, nothing's really going on. You feel me? So he asked me, like, oh, what did we do today? I'm like, oh, we didn't do nothing. We just sat in the house today. Like, because this was at the age where, like, my kids were at the age where they were still taking naps. So, like, he would go to work at like 7:30 in the morning. And we would all eat breakfast together. And then around, like, I want to say 11, 12 something, Okay, so like I was saying, so oh yeah, yeah. So at around I want to say maybe 12 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock. That's when my kids they would take a nap. They would take like a 2 hour nap, and by the time they would wake up, we would I would give them a snack. We would watch TV. They would play for a little bit, and then around that time, it would be time for him to come home and stuff like that. So it wasn't really like much for like how do I explain it? Like the time from the time that he was gone until the time that he was there, like it wasn't really, a lot that we would do basically. So boom. So after dinner, I clean up, same routine as before. I clean up and stuff like that. And I'm getting us ready for bed. Right now, this night, the third night. So after I put my kids in the bed, excuse me, after I put my kids in the bed, Um, I'm up. Like I'm wide awake. Now, usually I would fall asleep when I'm putting them to bed, but this night I was awake. So I'm up, I'm wide awake, and I'm just laying there. I'm laying there, right? And how do I explain that without being explicit? So I'm laying there and I'm like, dang, like I kind of want to go in this man's room. Like I want to go in his room. But like I knew that once I took that step and I went in his room, there was no going back. Like I'm not gonna say whatever was gonna occur because I knew what I wanted to occur. But once that happened, there was no going back from that, right? And whatever I tried to I don't want to say professional because this was not like business wise, but like I wanted to keep everything like strictly business, basically. Like, oh, you're just letting me stay here for 30 days until I get my stuff together. And then after that, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. Okay, so like I said, so I knew that once I went to his room there was no going back. And at first I wanted to keep everything strictly like, oh, you're just letting me stay here for 30 days until I get myself together, and then it's going to be whatever next step I decide to choose, right? And I knew that once I went into his room and I got into his bed, I knew that was going to change. I knew whatever dynamic I wanted was going to be something completely different. And I didn't know what was going to happen as far as that dynamic goes. So I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was very very nervous to the point where I got out the bed and I'm still in the kids' room, but I got out the bed and I'm just pacing the floor and I'm walking back and forth and I'm thinking, I'm like, dang, like I want to go in this man's room, but I don't know what's going to happen once I do. Like, I don't know if I don't know if it's going to stay strictly the way that I wanted it to, or if it was going to be a completely different dynamic. How is that dynamic going to work? How is that dynamic going to affect this living situation, right? Like it was fear of the unknown, basically. So I'm contemplating, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go in his room. Whatever happens, happens. So I go to his door. So I walk over to his door, and his bedroom door is like, it's shut, but it's cracked a little bit. Like it's kind of cracked open, but like I can hear the TV. So it's cracked open, and I can hear the TV playing. And I raise my hand up to knock, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I knew that I want, how do I explain it? Like, I knew that I wanted to do whatever I was gonna do once I went in his room. I didn't know if I actually wanted to go in there. Let me specify that. Like, I didn't know that I actually wanted to knock on his door and go in his room. And I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Let me just do it, right? Let me just hurry up and do it before I change my mind at that. So I just do two quick little knocks, right? And and I heard him say, "Yeah," right? He was like, "Yeah." So I kind of push the door open a little bit. I pushed it open enough to the point where I could just peek my head through, right? And he's sitting on the bed, right? Well, he's laying in bed, shall I say. Like, he's laying in bed, and I think he had like ESPN playing or something like that. So he's laying in bed, blowing the trees, you feel me? So I was like, "Can I come in?" And he was like, "Yeah, come on in." Jesus, got a frog in my throat. And that's not all I had in my throat. It's like, nah. All right, yeah, it's like, nah, it's like, nah. So, so I walk in his room. I climb in his bed, right? So I climb in his bed, get under the covers. And he passes me what he was blowing, right? So he passes me, he's blowing. So now we're both blowing the trees, right? And I like remember how I mentioned in the first video that I didn't really know his whole like whatever dynamic he had with Erica, right? I didn't really know what their dynamic was. Now that I'm here, like now that he invited me to come here with my kids, I know that they're definitely not a couple because I don't know who like what type of girlfriend would have allowed that to happen. I don't know why he would have extended the offer if they were a couple. So I know they're definitely not a couple, but now I want to know, like, what's tea, right? So I ask him, so, like, what's up when you and Erica, like, what y'all talk to each other or something? And he was like, hey, should I say this? Fucking, I'm gonna say it. He was like, hell no, like, I would never talk to that girl. You see how she look? And I'm like, well, you was on the phone with her 24/7 for the past week or so. Like, you feel me? Like, you was on the phone with the girl. You feel me? And don't get it twisted. Like, I wasn't trying to be like, what do you call it? Accusatory. I just honestly wanted to know because before I open my legs to you, I want to know, like, what's up with y'all? Like I said, tell me what's tea. But obviously he didn't know what I was like. Never mind, because I'm gonna say he's the dude. He probably knew exactly what it was that I wanted when I went into his room. But whatever. Moving past that. So I asked him like what their dynamic was, and he was like that she. I'm trying to think of how I can say this without giving too much information. He was like that she pays him to do stuff to her, right? To do sexual things to her, right? So I was like, wait, she pays you to do sexual things to her? Which, of course, then I didn't say sexual things. I said exactly what he said. And he was like, and he was like, yeah. He was like that. Basically, what it is like this was their dynamic. He said that he used, no, now, I'm gonna need y'all to put y'all thinking caps on with a lot of this terminology that I'm about to use, right? Come on, everybody, put your thinking caps on. Right? Okay, now let's get to it. So, he says that Erica is a 304, right? I knew that. That part, I knew. He was like that Erica is a 304. He said that he used to be a P years ago. He got out of the game once he had his daughter, right? Keep that in mind. He got out of the game once he had his daughter. But he keeps in contact with Erica because she keeps her ear to the streets, right? He was like that she keeps her ear to the streets. She always knows what's going on, what's happening, so he keeps in contact with her, right? So then I asked, I was like, well, what do you mean she keeps her ear to the street? Like, what kind of information does she give you? He was like, well, you, for example. And I was like, what do you mean me? And then he was like, he said that before I even arrived into town, he said that Erica hit him up. And for those of you that don't know, like, I used to be a 304 back in the day, right? And my name back then, my name was Fendi, right? So he was like, a week before you arrived to town, Erica hit me up and she was like, oh, this girl named Fendi, she's about to come out here. Like, she's about to make us a lot of money, this, that, and the third. And he was like, she kept talking about you, kept bringing you up, kept mentioning your name. So of course, once you touched down and she hit me up and said that you was there, of course I'm on the phone with her. Like, I'm on the phone with her, I'm texting her, I'm FaceTiming her, cause I want to see you. Like, I want to see who she talking about, who is this girl, like what's the hype. So I was like, interesting, right? Interesting. So, so then I was like, okay, so did you used to be Erica's P? And he was like, no. He was like that. Okay, so this is what he said. He said that what had happened is that he was supposed to be Erica's P, right? Because how what they call the game, how the game works is that when you're a 304, in order for you to, I don't want to say have a P, but in order for you to get a P, this is what needs to happen, right? You need to have a conversation with them, right? Now, what goes down in these conversations beats me, but yeah, you need to have a conversation with them, and the 304, gives the P money during this conversation. And once you give the P money, that is kind of your initiation, your contract. This is you signing your life over with this money. Like, what do they call it? Selling your soul to the devil. This is you selling your soul to the devil, because once you have the conversation with the P and you give the money, this is basically saying that you're his 304 and he is your P, right? Now, another part, right? Another part. Now, let's say you don't want him to be your P no more, right? And now you want another P to be your P, right? Now this is going to sound so complicated, but please follow along. I'm trying to explain this the best way that I can. But no, so 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 let's say that you decide that you want another P to be your P, right? And not the P that you currently have, right? Then those two Ps, they need to sit down and they need to have a conversation, right? And during that conversation, one is going to be like, oh, well, this is my 304 now. Like, she with me, she good. Like, she don't need your services no more. And then he's going to say what he says, and then whatever is going to happen is going to transpire, right? Boom. So, back to the conversation with Jason. So he's telling me, like, oh, I guess Erica was supposed to be his 304, but he told her she needed 34 grand to deal with him. Like, he was like, oh, my price is 34 grand. Like, if this is what you want, that's what you need to give me. And keep in mind, I don't know if I told you this. I don't know if I told you guys this, but in the first video when I was talking to old dude and he was introducing me to Erica, like before he introduced me to her and he was telling me about her, remember how I said that he said that she was in Hawaii because she wanted to get her body done? Coincidentally, and I don't think this is a coincidence at all, but coincidentally, the price that he said was 34 grand. Like, oh, she's in Hawaii because she's trying to save up 34 grand because she wants to get her body done. And now Jason's telling me that he told her, oh, it's 34 grand for me to kick it with you. Like, for me to be your P is 34 grand, right? Keep that in mind. Now, this is all the tea that Jason is giving me, right? So I'm like, well, did she ever give you the money? And Jason is like, no. He was like that what happened is that she hit him up. She hit him up and said that she had 10 grand, right? She hit him up and said she had 10 grand. And he was like, well, I told you 34 grand. So you get the rest of the money and then we can talk, right? He was like that she never got the rest of the money. She never got the rest of the money. And when she did hit him up, it was not about that. Like, it was about other stuff, right? So, so he was like that. They had like messed around a few times and that was about it. She never gave him the money. So he just, basically he left it alone. Like she didn't bring it up no more and neither did he, right? So then I told him, I was like, well, I thought Erica already had a P. And he was like, who? And I was like, I thought old dude was her P. The old dude that I fell out with. I was like, I thought that was her P. And he was like, no, why would you say that? So then I told him, I was like, well, the night that me and old dude fell out, me and Erica, we were in a hotel room, right? We're in a hotel room. And I remember specifically, we were eating, right? So we're in a hotel room, we were eating, and she looked at me and she was like, oh, dude is on his way up. So I was like, okay, like, because I'm still finna eat my food. So I'm like, okay. And I noticed that Erica took money. Erica had a stack of money, right? She had a wad of money. She took it, took off her wig, put the money under her wig cap, and then put her wig back on, right? Now, I didn't say anything. I didn't say, what are you doing? I didn't say, why would you put your money there? I didn't say none of that because it's not my business what she does with her bread. So I continue to eat my food. However, when old dude got in the hotel room, the first thing he said was, where's my money? Erica said, I didn't make any money today. Now, girl, I just seen you put a lot of money underneath your wig. But I didn't say that. I'm minding my business and I stay out of it and I continue to eat my food, right? So that's what I told to Jason. I'm like, well, the night that I fell out with old dude, he asked Erica, where's my money? And she lied to him and said she didn't make any. But I clearly seen her put the money underneath her wig. So then Jason was like, Jason was like, because that's not her pee. Like Erica, now this is what Jason was saying. He was like, now Erica is what we call a choosy Susie. And I'm like, what does that mean? He was like, that means that she jumps from P to P to P to P. Like she's always choosing up. She's always jumping to somebody new. So then I said, well, old dude called Erica his bottom B. Like before he introduced me to her, he was like, oh, Erica is my bottom B. Like she been fucking with me for years type thing. So then I'm like, huh, okay, all this is coming together. All this tea is getting hot, piping hot at that, right? So then Jason, now all this is happening while we're sitting on his bed blowing the trees, right? So then Jason is telling me, he was like, where y'all were at the hotel the other night? Like, did she tell you why she wanted to go to that hotel? Because I'm sure she's the one who picked the hotel, right? Like, you didn't pick that. Because remember how I said in the first video how she wanted to go to a hotel in a different city, in a different state. So I told Jason, I was like, yeah, but I didn't think to ask her why. I just assumed that she wanted to get away because she said that the reason why she wanted to check out of that hotel that we were previously at was because she didn't want old dude to come back after the situation happened where me and him had fell out. So Jason was like, right, but did she tell you why she wanted to go? Like the hotel that y'all left to go to is in a completely different city and state. Like, did she tell you why? But of course he didn't say a different city and state. He said the actual location, like it's here, it's in this state and in this city. Like, so did she tell you why she wanted to go there? And I was like, nah, I didn't ask. And he was like that she wanted to go there. He was like that she wanted to go there because her actual pee, like the pee that she actually has, he was there at the hotel. He was running girls out of that hotel, and that's why she wanted to go there. And I told Jason, I was like, well, the first night that we stayed there, which was the only night that I had stayed there, I was telling her, I was like, well, like I had left to go smoke with my homeboy, and when I had came back, like she was saying that she had a dude that she was in a situationship with who was staying in that hotel. And Jason was like, that's her pee. Like, that's not no dude she's in a situationship with. And if so, then they're in a situationship and that's her pee. Like, that's who she had went to go see. And then Jason, like, cause I passed him back so he was like, man, you have no idea. Like, you're so naive. And that's why I got you away from her, because I just knew, like, in order for you to be friends with Erica and the type of person that I could tell that you were, I just knew, like, that situation was not going to turn out good. Like, you're so naive and you don't really know this game like that. And you have no idea what she had planned for you. And now my ears are open. And I'm like, what she had planned for me. What do you mean? So then Jason was like, Jason, this is all that Jason told me. He was like that basically, long story short, the plan was for her, somehow she was supposed to get me away from old dude, which she did because we had a falling out that has something, I don't want to say it has something to do with her, but it was orchestrated by her. And I'll get into that, like I said before, in another video, right? He was like, the plan was for her to get you away from him. She took you to that hotel because you were supposed to meet her P there. You were supposed to meet him. Y'all were supposed to have some conversation. But he didn't say some conversation. He basically said y'all were supposed to talk, have a conversation, and then you were supposed to start working for him. Something happened that night. He was like, something happened that night, and you ended up not meeting him. But if I didn't hit you up and tell you like, oh, you can come stay with me, I guarantee that you was gonna meet him that day, and like, and some was supposed to go down. So now I'm really listening. And I'm like, what was supposed to go down? So then he was like that, oh, I almost said the girl's name. He was like that Erica and her P, somehow they had some sort of, I don't know, some type of dynamic that they had going on, right? Where she was his 304, but she was also messing around with him, if that makes sense. So he pretty much was like that Erica had been trying to get pregnant and she had been trying to have a baby, right? Which makes sense because I don't know if I told you guys this, but like, back when I was with old dude and me and Erica were hanging around all the time, there was a day where me, Erica, and the girl that was watching my son, we were chilling in the girl's living room, and we were all like, well, me and the girl were blowing trees. Erica didn't smoke, but me and the girl were blowing trees. The girl had a bottle, so we're sipping, taking shots, and we're blowing trees and stuff like that. And I remember her asking me, like, how I got pregnant with my son, as far as, like, what the process was and stuff like that. So I remember her asking these questions, but at the time, like, we lit. Like, I wasn't really thinking, like, oh, why she want to know? Why she asking me? Like, I wasn't really thinking like that, right? But now that Jason said that, like, now I'm putting 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10 together, right? I'm putting everything together. So I was like, huh. He was like, they had some sort of dynamic going on where Erica was trying to get pregnant, right? But for some reason, they could not have a baby. So the plan was, after I met her P and I got acquaintance with him, whatever the case may be, is that I was supposed to be working with him, right? And then after that took place, then they were supposed to somehow set me up to the point where I would get arrested and I would go to jail. Once I got arrested and I would go to jail, they were going to leave me in there and then they were going to take my son, right? Now this sounds like some whole conspiracy theory type thing. Here you go. Now this sounds like some whole conspiracy type thing. It's giving very much Lifetime movie. But yeah, now it's not that I thought, okay, let me say this. Now, when I first met Erica, did I think that we were friends? Maybe. But then as the time went on, I was just like, oh yeah, we're cool. And then I really knew, like, after everything happened with me and old dude, I already knew at that point, like, okay, Erica is not to be trusted. Like, I already knew that at that point. Like, she's not to be trusted. Like, there's some shady stuff going down with this girl. Like, at that point I already knew. So I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say what he was telling me wasn't a surprise, because it's like, how shisty can you be? How much of a effed up person can you be? How much of a snake can you be? But it's giving like, okay, this is expected, with me spending a few days with her and really getting acclimated to her character. Like, you feel me? So yeah. So long story short, not even long story short, child. But anyway, after after we get finished talking about that and stuff like that, and we blow in the trees and we're lit, because we also talking about like various other things and stuff like that. So after that, yeah, then we decide to do some sexual things to each other, and I ended up sleeping in his room that night. And after that, I knew that our dynamic I knew that our dynamic was gonna forever be changed. Let me say that. Like how before I even went to his room, I was contemplating on how everything was going to like play out because I wasn't sure. But after that, I knew for certain, like, oh yeah, like we're not gonna go back to just being cool. Like, oh, you just letting me and my kids stay here. Like we finna be out in like 30 days. Like you feel me? Like I knew, like, all right, yeah, this the dynamic has changed, but whether it changed for the good or for the bad, like there was no way for me to know at that point, right? um and I'm gonna stop here because this video is super duper long. And I really thought that I could get the rest of the story out in this whole second part, but clearly not. So there's going to be another part. Stay tuned for part 3, and this is the end of part 4. So yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.